A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the abridged version of the show tonight. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at what is happening in your world of sports. Of course, the FA Cup currently going on in England. We'll talk about it. One match already concluded. We'll save that for later on the show. We'll talk about what's happening on the domestic scene. And tonight, we want to dedicate some time to athletics. We have somebody whose views is respected by a lot of people. So we'll talk to him. We'll get his views about the postponed National Sports Festival, how it may or may not affect Nigeria's preparation for the Tokyo Olympics. We'll also spare a thought for the amazing feat achieved by Blessing Okagbare, all for you on the show. But I want to start the show differently tonight. I want to start the show differently tonight, talking about something we talked about yesterday, but became sort of an anticlimax. Yesterday we told you about Green Eagles defender Issa Shofoluwe, told you about his condition, but we are here to report that sadly he has passed away. That's the man in your picture. He dies at the age of 53. He's fondly remembered by a lot of people. He was nicknamed Dean of Defense. He played for a couple of clubs on the domestic scene. Abiola Babes, played for Gateway. He played for the Green Eagles, now known as the Super Eagles. A lot of people remember him playing for Nigeria in the Nations Cup in 1984 and also in Maroc 88. He has 2 silver medals at the senior national level. And of course, we pray that God will grant the family the fortitude to bear the loss. And hopefully, we will begin to take interest in the welfare of legends like this. Not the way we wanted to see him go, but that's the way we want to start the show tonight, paying our own tribute to the Dean of Defense, Issa Shofoluwe, on the show tonight. All right, so let's move on the show and link up with a friend of the house, Bambo Akoni, to talk everything athletics. Bambo, well, greetings to you. I don't know where you are, so I don't know if it's evening where you are, but greetings to you. Let me also say Happy New Year. We're having this conversation for the first time. Greetings to you. Thanks for joining us on the show
Thank you for having me, Yemi.
All right.
It's afternoon where I am.
Okay, all right. That's good to hear. All right, Bambo, let's, I mean, you've heard the news, postponement after postponement, but want to look at the implication on the athletes, on by extension, our preparation for the Tokyo Olympics. How will all of these things affect what we were racing against time before all of this postponement? Now we have all of this. We have to factor it in. So what do you think our in the light of all of this? What do you think our performance in Tokyo will be like?
Well, it's a tough pill to swallow. The postponement of the sports festival. If you recall, it was meant to actually happened March of last year, but the pandemic put paid to that. And we're still obviously battling with the pandemic and the second wave. So it's understandable that this has happened. Time is running out to actually hold the festival before the Olympics. I think they're looking at an April start date for the festival now. And, as you rightly suggested, it is going to have an impact on our Olympic preparation. We should be having more athletes qualified for the Olympics already. I know quite a few athletes who were planning to qualify at the festival. Now they have to wait till April for the chance to do that. But I think it's left for each individual sport to also have their calendar arranged so that they can actually get their athletes ready to qualify. I know the wrestlers, for example, have already had a competition. The president, Daniel Igali, is doing a great job with them. And then obviously the AFN has also had their first competition of the year in Akure at the weekend. So there will be other avenues for the athletes to qualify. At Making of Champions, we're also having our third MOC Grand Prix in April, and that's also going to be an Olympic qualifying event. So it's really all hands on deck right now to try and get as many athletes qualified for the Olympics as possible. I do actually think that we have our best crop of athletes in a generation. We could actually get 5 medals at this Olympics if we get the preparation right over the next 6 months.
All right, you're sounding very optimistic. I know where you're coming from, but you talked about us maybe getting 5 medals. Is it pre-post? These 5 medals you're talking about, is it pre-postponement or with the postponement in mind and all conditions surrounding? You still think we can get this 5?
It's pre-postponement, despite postponement, and thanks to postponement, we have more time to get our act together. Obviously, we have some top athletes who are medal contenders in their individual events. People like Toby Amusan, Ese Brume in the 100-meter hurdles and in the long jump. They were 4th and 3rd in the events at the World Championships in 2019. They're certainly going to be medal contenders. As you mentioned earlier in the show, Blessing Okagbare is in supreme form right now in the indoor season. She will be wanting to get that individual sprint medal that has eluded her at the Olympics. And then you also have the likes of Divine Oduduru and Raymond Ekemo in the men's sprints, who will also want to be in the mix for an individual medal. But the 5 medals I'm really talking about is really Nigeria getting back to winning medals in the relays. In the Olympics, 8 of our medals have come in the relays, 8 out of 13 track and field medals, and out of 25 medals overall. In fact, since 1984, there hasn't been an Olympic Games that we've won a medal, a track and field medal, without winning in the relays. And that's where we can actually be in contention for 2, 3, or even all 5 of the relays if we get our relay preparation right in the next 6 months. Some other countries in Africa have left us behind in this area. South African 4x1, for example, they were camping even before the pandemic started. The Ghanaian 4x1 beat our boys at the African Games in 2019, even though on paper we have the better team. So these are some of the areas that we need to really get right. I mean, if these athletes are training together and competing together 2, 3, 4, 5 times before the Olympics, they will all qualify and they will be in contention for medals.
Let's talk about Blessing, since you brought it up. Let's talk about Blessing and the amazing feat. He enters into the Guinness Book of Records for the things she's done between 2010 and 2018. It's pretty amazing. But I also want to add to your response, do you think going into this Olympics that she would be under any pressure at all? Should Nigerians still expect or see her as a medal prospect?
Well, Blessing has always been under pressure over the last decade for Nigeria. She's been that guiding light for Nigerian athletics. I remember London 2012, everybody was hoping for a medal from her. The same thing for Rio 2016. She wants that medal more than anything. The pressure, she can handle it. She's an experienced performer. There have been moments where we would have hoped for better for her in the finals. Right now, what she'll be thinking is she's got good form in the early indoor season, run a couple of personal bests, very close to 7 seconds in the 60 meters. And she'll be hoping to keep that and hold that onto the Olympics. If she can hold that onto the Olympics, she'll definitely be in the mix for medal in the 100, hopefully in the 200 as well. And then as for her Guinness World Record feat, I think it's just a testament to how long she has stayed at the top of her game. To be in the Diamond League consistently from 2010 to 2020, 11 seasons and counting, that's a feat that definitely should be celebrated. So really kudos to her for flying the flag for Nigerian athletics the past decade. And hopefully, she can get that individual medal in the sprints at this Olympics and really hand the baton, literally and figuratively to the next generation.
All right. I mean, we're all in agreement that the time is short, and we've had our own problems even before COVID-19 came. And I know you have a bias for athletics. And do you think if we're going to get medals in Tokyo, that's where it's going to come from? If you think so, what are the things we can do? The time is short, but can anything still be done?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So I mentioned already that 13 out of our 25 medals in Olympic history did come in track and field.
Mhm.
So that's where we always have to be looking for our best medal prospects. Obviously, the men and women's basketball teams have both qualified for the first time ever. And there's a lot of excitement about both teams. Can they get to the latter stages of their competitions? Can they be in the mix for medals? Only time will tell. Obviously, neither the men's or women's football qualified for the Olympics for Nigeria. So that really reinforces why we have to look at the basketball teams, why we also have to look at the wrestlers, the likes of Odunaya Adekroye, and then also the athletes. And I've said already, athletics alone can bring Nigeria 5 medals at this Olympics, but relay camping must start straight away. The bulk of our relay teams are in the US, particularly the 4x1 teams, and they must be brought together by April. There's a series of invitationals in the US in April, the likes of the Penn Relays, the Florida Relays, Mount Sachs Relays. The best athletes from the US based contingent can be really we can look at them through those meets. They can qualify, run some qualifying times, put them together with the best athletes there, like Okagbare, Oduduru, Ekenwo, Amuso. And then when the World Relays come up in May, you can then start combining them with the best of the athletes at home. The likes of Ushorite Shekiri, Joido Gabriel, Emmanuel Ojeli, Jerry Jakpa, and so on. So there's a lot that still can happen and still has to happen. But I do firmly believe that this could be Nigeria's best Olympics since Atlanta 96, when we won 6 medals, with 4 coming from track and field.
All right. I mean, there's this ongoing debate after the ministry decided that we're going to only participate in events where we have, so to speak, comparative advantage. And some of the opinion that if an athlete qualifies in an event, whether or not the athlete has a prospect of winning medals, he or she should have the opportunity to represent Nigeria. So, which side of the divide do you fall into when that discussion comes up?
Well, I would say that in a sense, beggars can be choosers. We don't have a lot of athletes who have qualified yet. And the priority needs to be, how do we increase the possibility of athletes across all sports to qualify? I think track and field athletes do have some of the better and greater prospects. And that's one reason why we're so focused on track and field at Making of Champions, because we know that Nigeria has the potential to be greater and bigger than Team Jamaica or Team USA in track and field if we just had a concerted effort for 3, 4, 5 years to do this. MOC, we've been running a track club for the last 4 to 5 years, and I'm proud to say our first athletes ever will be arriving at this Olympics. At least 3 or 4 of them will make the Nigerian team to this Olympics. So I'm of the opinion that everything must be done to increase Nigeria's participation in the Olympics, and that comes with the preparation. You can't be in contention for medals if you don't qualify. I do understand that sometimes it seems like a longer road to qualify in some sports, but you have to start somewhere. The investment has to start. If it's not going to happen for 2021, investment has to start now for 2024 and beyond in the other sports where we haven't qualified.
All right, Bamba, before we let you go, I just want to ask you, as we approach the Olympics, a lot of people are pessimistic. Some not saying whether or not the event should be held, but they're looking at some issues. So I want to ask you this. Do you think that athletes should be given special treatment in terms of receiving the vaccine? Some sporting bodies have come out to say, look, don't put us on top, don't break the rules, don't jump the queue. Let's let them get the vaccines when they should. So what's your stand on that if we're going to have a safe event in Tokyo?
Well, I think the governing body, the IOC, has intimated that they don't need the athletes to jump the queue necessarily. And And I would tow along those lines to say, look, as across the globe, can we really push for these vaccines to happen sooner so that everybody's turn comes sooner before the Olympics come up in July? That's what we'd be hoping for. I mean, obviously, it's a very difficult situation with the pandemic, with the second wave. We just, thankfully, things are beginning to subside, it would seem. And we hope that trend can continue so that, these rumors that the Olympics might be under threat can be put to bed. It is going to be a difficult operation. I mean, moving over 11,000 athletes to Japan. It's a similar problem that the National Sports Festival has had, having 14,000 athletes meant to be involved and having to move them all to Benin. So, but I would say that the IOC and the Japanese government, what they'll be looking at right now is other international sports that are ongoing at the moment. The Australian Open in the tennis, looking at how they chartered flights to take all the players there and quarantining them when they arrive for a couple of weeks. So these are some of the things that we'd see to make the Olympics go ahead as planned in Tokyo.
All right, Bamba Kone, I want to thank you for your time on the show tonight. Hopefully we get to do this some other time.
Thank you for having me, Yemi, as always.
All right, so Bamba Kone, bearing his mind, speaking on some of the issues in Nigerian athletics, especially with regards to the National Sports Festival and by extension, the Olympics. All right, let's quickly go on and talk about the FA Cup. Let's take a look at the results. What's going on? One game already concluded, 2 matches going on as we speak. We're going to give to you the results. First game of the day, Manchester City beats Swansea. Goals from Kyle Walker, Gabriel Jesus, and Raheem Sterling. The other matches are currently going on. Tottenham Hotspur currently lead in the game against Everton. Davinson Sanchez got a goal. All the 3 matches are live, and those 2, Leicester, Brighton, Sheffield, and Bristol City still goalless as we speak. If anything happens before we wrap things up here on the show, we will let you know. But as it stands, Tottenham leading, a goal scored in the 3rd minute. So that's it for what's going on in the English FA Cup. All right, let's move on and quickly come home to talk about the Nigeria National League, and just let you know that the Chief Operating Officer of the Nigeria National League, talking about Emmanuel Adesoya, he has confirmed February 13, 2021 as a commencement date for the second-tier league. Adesoya insists that the clubs who violate the COVID-19 protocols will be sanctioned, as the league body has put measures in place to ensure the safety of players, officials, and officiating officials. All right, so let's just listen to the Chief Operating Officer of the Nigeria National League, and we come back to wrap things up on the show.
It may interest you and Nigerians to know that because of the peculiarity of some centers, 2, 3, 4 matches will start a day before 13th, that is on the 12th. Like in Lagos, where we have about 4 teams playing at the same venue. In Lagos, we have Mountain, MFM, we have Vendresa, we have stationary stores, and we have Joy Comment. They are all using Agege Stadium. And for us to be able to use that stadium very well, it's only important for us to spread the matches.
All right, a lot of information put out there, but key takeaway, February 13 is the date that Nigeria National League will start. Let's go to Melbourne, the first Grand Slam of the year, the city down under, and talk about what's going on. World number 1, Novak Djokovic, advanced in that game. He prevailed 6-3, 6-7, 7-6, 6-3 to reach the 3rd round in the competition. Of course, Francis TF. Quick update on the FA Cup. Everton has level things right there. A goal now. So it's 1-1 as we speak. Everton and Tottenham, they've cancelled out Davinson Sanchez's goal, so it's 1-1. Nothing to report in the other games is goalless. The first game has been concluded. Manchester City won that one. All right, so that's it. That's a wrap on the show. Before we leave, let's take a journey down memory lane and have for ourselves a feeling of nostalgia. This day in history, Super Eagles won the third African Cup of Nations. This day in history, 8 years ago, same date, February 10. That day, you could see the faces, the smiles on the faces of those guys, and it meant a lot to us as Nigerians. Hopefully, the glory days will return and we'll see more of this. Well, that's how we cross the finish line on the show tonight. Is a wrap on the abridged version of Sports Tonight for today. We're back here again tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.